to this special lecture. Today we are very honored to have with us Dr. Stephanie Palmer, who is on a short visit to Delhi and has found the time to come and address us. This is the second time she is speaking here. The subject is a very fascinating one. China's current science, technology and innovation, opportunities and challenges. And I think this is a subject that is going to interest us not only now, but for many, many years in the future. Professor Palmer is Dean of Undergraduate Studies at Sciences Po in Paris, which, as you know, is one of France's leading educational institutions, very famous history and heritage. And to look at this subject, she has a particularly multifunctional background in both social sciences, in law, and she has garnished this with extended work in the field, including China itself, where she in fact had a diplomatic assignment for a short period. So she brings to bear on this, apart from her academic work and research, a very practical, on-the-ground approach, and at the intersection of law, science, and society, which really are areas where all these developments impinge in one way or the other. And this, of course, is in the context of China as a society where China itself is going and so on. So all these issues are very intimately mingled together. So this is what Professor Palmer is going to put before us in the next 35 to 40 minutes. And so without further ado, let me hand over to her and look forward to her presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Butterlingham. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Director, for having me for the second time. Last time I came, if I recall correctly, it was in 2015. Maybe I should speak louder. I don't know. It was in 2015 and it was in the very same room and I enjoyed it very much. And since I left, I kept on looking at what you were doing at the NCS. So I'm on a mailing list, and every time I receive an email with a conference, I wish I was here. So today I'm here with you, and so I'm really delighted. And I'm sure that we are going to work in the future together on China studies, because you have a lot to say about China, and the angle you look at China, it's a very, very inspirational one for a European lady as I am. So thank you so much. Before starting my conference, I have to tell you that on this very first page that you see here, there is on the first page of this PowerPoint, exactly right here, there is an image of two persons, and actually we have now a tradition at Sciences Po that before we start any conference we talk about them, because there are two academic prisoners. They're hostages in Iran, and so whenever we start a conference, we just pay tribute to them by saying that we cherish freedom of expression and freedom of thought, and we hope that it will be liberated very soon. The lady is Fariba Abdelhaj, she's Franco-Iranian, and Roland Marshall is a French citizen. Having said that, it's time to talk about China. And I'm wondering whether you see the screen. Maybe I should do this slideshow. And then from the beginning, good, same, good. Yes, it's coming. Yes, wonderful. Good. So today I'm going to present you a few ideas about a book which hasn't been published yet because we haven't finished it. And when I say we, it's because I have a co-author. His name is Pierre Lemonde, and he's a quantum physicist. And he has worked with me in China when we were in charge of scientific and higher education bilateral cooperation. The reason why we started to be interested in this subject. And so Pierre Lemonde, my co-author, comes from what is called the hard science or natural sciences, and I'm definitely a social science person, we do believe that an interdisciplinary approach is necessary to really address correctly the issue of science, technology, and innovation in China. So to give you a little bit of a background of this issue, because last time when I came, I was actually presenting a book that was about to be published, and it was about the judicial system in China. So it had absolutely almost nothing to do with this current issue, because I've been working on legal and judicial issues in China for many years. So actually what happened is, as Professor Boutelingen had just said, the French Minister of Foreign Affairs came to see me 4 years ago, asking me to be in charge of bilateral collaboration between France and China in terms of science and education. So I quit my job at Sciences Po, joined as a diplomat the French embassy in China, and started to this fascinating work of trying to evaluate the evolution of higher education, science, and innovation in China, together with my co-author. Then I came back to the academy after 2 years because Sciences Po asked me to come back to become a dean, and also because I definitely am not a diplomat. I'm actually a researcher. I'm very proud of it. And so I started to do this work. So I think it was important for you to understand the background of the study. Now the topic itself is very much, of course I'm interested in the evolution of STI, but I'm interested in the evolution of STI in order to raise other questions, and in particular the question of the state building process in China. What this nation state looks like, what is the purpose of China as a nation state, and what are the links between China's wanted to become a superpower and the use of science in this very process. And when I'm thinking in terms of state building, I'm sure it echoes to three aspects that some of you might have observed, which is the focus in China, the quasi-obsession of self-reliance, the national rejuvenation, this idea that in the 19th century, when China met somehow in a very brutal way the West, if the West exists, and it was a period of time when technology was in decay in China versus scientific powers which were colonized power that colonized China. And at that time, China realized that they had not only needed to change their political system, but also to change their scientific ecosystem. So the idea of rejuvenation and national rejuvenation through science is something which is extremely pervasive in today's China with Mr. Xi Jinping. And last but not least, they do face another issue, which is the issue of postmodern society, which is escaping middle income trap. And in order to escape middle income trap, they are trying to use science. So again, science and state building process is very much the topic. The hypothesis we have, and it's not extremely original or extremely specific, is the idea that in view of the long history of technology in China, and I'm saying that next to Professor Boutelingen, who had a chance to be a student of Professor Joseph Needham, if we look at the long history of technology in China, and considering its contemporary aspirations and what China became, the course of history should sooner or later add to the status of China becoming a great scientific superpower, maybe the biggest one. So some people, may say it's 2030, 2050, 2070. Actually, I don't really care, because this is going to happen whatever, and even if it takes more time than that, it's nothing compared to the long history of China. So now for us, there are three different research questions. And what I really would like to say is today, for me, is a research seminar. I would like to share with you some of our thoughts in the book, so you can challenge them. So you can also tell me whether what I'm telling, we are researching on makes sense to you, whether it contradicts your own perspective. So it's really a research seminar in the way that I open to you our questions and limited answers so far. So first of all, the question is, for now, how to assess the situation of STI in China. And it's a very difficult question to assess it, because we completely rely on public sources, on state sources. We rely on the information given to us by the Chinese government, and I'm not, we can be critical on it, but the fact is we can only rely on it. So the only way to really understand what's going on in the field is to make some qualitative research. So how to assess the situation? What are its main strengths and weaknesses of STI in China? Is China actually building a competitive world-class STI system, or is it still very far? So this is one set of questions. A second set of questions is very important, in particular to me, much less to my co-author who is a physicist, but to me it's very important. Is China's political system, is China's socio-political system carrying the risk, its own risk for its own science and innovation? To put it differently, my question is, it's been 40 years China has rebuilt its ecosystem, its scientific ecosystem. It might be so that because it's an authoritarian system, it helped building it in a very rapid and efficient way. But are we now in a situation precisely that its political system, because it prevents its scientists to be completely free in doing their research, because it doesn't attract much international talents, because it's a top-down decision funded by the state, because basically this ecosystem fits to China but doesn't fit to the global values of scientific communities, haven't reached a level where precisely its political system will be its main challenge in preventing China from becoming an important scientific superpower. But then the question is, if it's not, then it challenges us in another way, and there are the third kind of questions. Does China's scientific and innovation ecosystem offer opportunities for the world? And when I use the term opportunities, I actually mean challenges. Because up to now, we have this idea that only open societies, maybe democracies, are systems that can bring and develop, a world-class scientific system. If it's not the case, and if China proves to be a counterexample, then it really means that democracies are in danger. It also means that the leading power in terms of science will be a quite important authoritarian system.